The story begins with a woman named Yushi who finally decides to divorce her abusive husband. Throughout their marriage, he treated her horribly, constantly tormenting and even physically abusing her. After the divorce, Yushi believes the worst part of her life is finally over and that she can start fresh with her young daughter. But she couldn't have been more wrong. Her ex-husband is a cruel and manipulative man, and he has no intention of letting her move on peacefully. Instead, he comes up with a new plan. He wants to take their daughter away from her. To make that happen, he files a lawsuit for custody and accuses Yushi of being mentally unstable and unfit to raise a child. To support his claims, he even drags Yushi's painful childhood into court. He brings up her parents' divorce and argues that growing up alone left deep emotional scars on her, supposedly affecting her mental health. Now, if Yushi wants to keep custody of her daughter, she must prove in court that she is mentally stable and capable of being a good mother. At the time, Yushi works for a newspaper, but the salary is barely enough to survive on. Supporting both herself and her daughter has become a daily struggle. With no better options, she decides to move into an old apartment building where the rent is unbelievably cheap. The moment we see the building, it's obvious why the rent is so low. The place is ancient, poorly maintained, and filled with countless problems. But Yushi doesn't care. Right now, all she needs is a roof over her daughter's head, so she immediately agrees to rent one of the apartments and pays the first month's rent. As they move in, we notice something strange. The elevator is equipped with a CCTV camera, and the security monitor connected to it looks decades old. While watching the footage, the building manager sees Yushi and her daughter riding the elevator upstairs. But then he notices something unsettling. There appears to be a third little girl standing beside them. The creepy part? We only saw Yushi and her daughter enter the elevator, and when the CCTV footage is shown again moments later, the mysterious girl has completely vanished. Soon after, Yushi's daughter goes up to the rooftop terrace to play. While exploring, she discovers a red bag and instantly becomes attached to it. But Yushi tells her that keeping something that belongs to someone else isn't right. So they hand the bag over to the building manager, hoping he can return it to its rightful owner. Several days pass, and life in the apartment continues as normal. Then one day, Yushi notices a dark stain spreading across the ceiling. The spot keeps getting bigger, and before long, water begins dripping into the room. Realizing there must be a leak from the apartment above, she goes to complain to the manager. But instead of helping, he casually brushes it off, telling her that she should get used to these kinds of problems because the building is extremely old. Yoshi quietly returned to her apartment and placed a small bucket beneath the leak. But something felt strange. The bucket always filled up way too fast. Frustrated, she decided to go upstairs and ask the neighbors to fix whatever was causing the leak. She rang the doorbell several times, but no one answered. After waiting for a few minutes, she gave up and headed back toward her apartment. As the elevator doors were closing, she suddenly noticed a little girl wearing a yellow raincoat standing outside the apartment. Yoshi quickly stopped the elevator and ran back, but by the time she got there, the girl had completely vanished. A few days later, after finishing some cleaning, Yoshi went downstairs to throw away the trash. That's when she noticed something disturbing. The red bag her daughter had given her just the day before was sitting inside the dumpster. Lately, Yoshi had been ignoring every problem around her, hoping life would become easier. But instead, things only seemed to get worse. Work was becoming more stressful. She barely had enough time for her daughter. And on top of everything else, she had started suffering from terrible headaches. The pain was almost unbearable. One evening, while grabbing a glass of water to take her medicine, she discovered that filthy, dark water was now flowing from her tap. She immediately filed another complaint, but just like every other time, the building manager ignored her completely. As she returned to her apartment, something else caught her attention. Inside the elevator, she noticed strange black stains on the buttons for her floor, the exact same marks she'd been seeing all over her apartment. For the first time, a chill ran down her spine. Fear began creeping into her mind. But once again, she tried to ignore it and carried on with her life. The next day, Yoshi was running extremely late for work. An important meeting kept her busy, and she couldn't make it to school to pick up her daughter. By the time she arrived, it was already late at night. The school was closed, and her daughter was nowhere to be found. Panic instantly took over. As she desperately searched the area, she came across a missing person poster. It showed a young girl named Minshiku, who had vanished years ago and was never found. Reading the poster sent a wave of terror through Yoshi. Now completely overwhelmed, she searched even harder for her daughter. After what felt like forever, she finally found her with a kind stranger who had been trying to bring her safely back home. Relieved, Yoshi rushed her daughter home. But this time, her daughter wasn't happy to see her. She was furious. The disappointment and anger in her eyes made it clear that Yoshi's constant absence was beginning to leave scars far deeper than she had realized. So she headed up to the rooftop and found the same red bag sitting exactly where she had discovered it before. Little Ikuko had grown strangely attached to the bag and wanted to keep it. But Yushi immediately stopped her. "I've already told you not to take things that belong to other people," she said. "Besides, I saw this bag in the trash a few days ago. I'll throw it away myself." As the days went by, Ikuko became more and more frightened. The reason? She kept seeing the same mysterious girl Yushi had spotted on the upper floor of the apartment building, a young girl wearing a yellow raincoat and carrying that very same red bag. Ikuko had seen her several times before, but one day while playing at school, the girl suddenly appeared right in front of her. The sight terrified Ikuko so much that she collapsed and lost consciousness. An emergency call was made, and Yushi was summoned to the school. There, the teachers explained that Ikuko had been acting unusually quiet and withdrawn for quite some time. She seemed constantly scared and kept drawing the same figure over and over again, a child wearing a yellow raincoat. The moment Yushi looked at the drawings, her heart sank. It was the exact same girl she had been seeing around the apartment building. Then an older teacher approached her, looking even more disturbed than the others. Pulling Yushi aside, he revealed something chilling. The girl Ikuko kept drawing had disappeared nearly a year ago and was never found. The last time anyone saw her, she was wearing a yellow raincoat and carrying a red bag. Hearing this sent a wave of fear through Yushi. If that girl had vanished a year ago, then who or what had she and Ikuko been seeing all this time? That night, Yushi took Ikuko home and fell asleep downstairs. But when she woke up, Ikuko was gone. Panic instantly took over. She searched every room in the apartment, but there was no sign of her daughter. Desperate, she rushed into the hallway and looked around. Then a horrifying thought crossed her mind. What if Ikuko had followed the mysterious girl in the yellow raincoat, the same girl Yushi had seen on the floor above? Without wasting another second, Yushi ran upstairs. The apartment door wasn't even locked. As soon as Yushi stepped inside, she froze. The entire apartment was flooded with water, and every light in the place was turned on. But what terrified her the most was finding Coco lying there unconscious. Panicking, Yushi rushed to pick up her daughter. Just as she was about to leave, something caught her eye. Several photographs of the same little girl she had been seeing over and over again. Looking closer, she realized the girl had once lived in this very apartment with her father. And judging by the condition of the apartment, it was obvious that something dark and sinister had happened here. Terrified, Yushi immediately carried Coco downstairs and started packing their belongings. She knew they had to get out of this house as fast as possible, but before she could leave, her lawyer arrived and stopped her. He explained that constantly moving from one place to another would only hurt her custody case and make her accusations sound irrational. He also reminded her that she needed a permanent address to prove to the court that she could provide a stable home for her daughter. With no other choice, Yushi stayed. The lawyer and the building's caretaker helped repair the apartment and restore everything to normal. For a while, things seemed peaceful. Yushi hadn't seen the mysterious girl in the yellow raincoat for days, and that made her feel much better about staying in the apartment. Just when she started believing that life was finally returning to normal, she made a shocking discovery. One day, she found the same red bag she had thrown into the trash sitting inside Coco's school bag. The sight sent a chill down her spine. Yushi immediately confronted her daughter and asked where she had gotten it. Why was it in her bag? But Coco looked confused and replied, "I didn't pick it up. I didn't put it there." As Yushi pulled the red bag out, a terrifying vision suddenly flashed through her mind. She saw the bag sinking into the building's rooftop water tank. In that moment, she realized something important. The spirit of Mitsuko was trying to show her something, trying to reveal something that had been hidden all this time. The realization hit Yushi instantly, and she knew exactly where she needed to go. She rushed toward the rooftop. Coco tried to follow her and said, "Mom, I'm coming with you." But Yushi refused. She locked the apartment door behind her and hurried upstairs alone. Moments later, she arrived at the rooftop and walked straight toward the water tank. The very same tank she had seen in her vision, where the red bag had disappeared beneath the water. The moment Yoshi touches the object, another terrifying vision hits her. In it, she sees the same little girl climbing up the water tower. Through this vision, she finally learns the truth about Minas's past. Minas never had a mother. She lived alone with her father, and whenever he left for work, there was no one around to look after her. One day, while playing by herself, she wandered too close to the water tower and accidentally fell inside. Trapped with no one to save her, the little girl drowned and died. That's when Yoshi realizes something horrifying. The child's spirit is jealous of both her and Ikuko. She never had a mother's love, and she can't stand seeing Ikuko being cared for by one. Yoshi immediately understands that if the ghost's jealousy keeps growing, it will do everything in its power to hurt them. Panicking, Yoshi rushes back to her apartment and finds her daughter lying unconscious. A flashback reveals what happened moments earlier. After Yoshi left, Ikuko noticed that the bathtub faucet had been left running. When she stepped into the bathtub suddenly filled up on its own. As she tried to shut off the water, it turned pitch black. Then two horrifying black hands burst out from the water and grabbed her. They were the hands of a child. The ghost of Minaze had tried to drag her under and drown her. Yoshi quickly grabs her daughter and runs for the elevator. She desperately presses the button, praying it will take them away from this nightmare. But as the doors close, she notices water slowly flooding the elevator as well. Before she can process what's happening, she suddenly sees Ikuko standing outside near the apartment. Confused, Yoshi looks down at the child in her arms and freezes in terror. It isn't Ikuko at all, it's Minas's spirit. The ghost immediately attacks her, striking her again and again. In that moment, Yoshi realizes the terrifying truth. This child will never stop hunting them. Knowing there is only one way to save her daughter, Yoshi makes the ultimate sacrifice. She decides to give herself to the ghost and sends the elevator upward toward Minase's apartment. Meanwhile, Ikuko races up the stairs after seeing the elevator move. When she finally reaches it and the doors slide open, a massive torrent of water comes crashing out. But inside, there is no sign of her mother. Minase has taken Yoshi away. Now Ikuko is completely alone, while her mother has sacrificed her own life to save her daughter. The story then jumps forward several years. Ikuko is all grown up now and living a peaceful life with her father. But no matter how much time has passed, she still misses her mother every single day. And today is especially painful because it's the anniversary of the day her mother disappeared. Overwhelmed with sadness, Ikuko decides to visit the old apartment building where they once lived together. She walks into the flat that used to be their home, only to find it abandoned and falling apart after years of neglect. But then she makes her way upstairs to the apartment where everything began, the mysterious apartment that changed her life forever. As soon as she opens the door and steps inside, she freezes in shock. The place should have been empty. No one had lived there for years. Yet everything is spotless. The furniture is perfectly arranged, not a single speck of dust in sight. It looks as if someone has been living there all this time. A chilling feeling runs down her spine. And then something impossible happens. Right in front of her, the spirit of her mother appears. Ikuko can hardly believe what she's seeing. After all these years, her mother is standing before her once again. Tears fill her eyes as she asks the question that's haunted her for years. "Mom, were you here this whole time?" Her mother gently smiles and replies, "Yes, I've always been here. I've been watching over you and protecting you from the shadows. Even when you couldn't see me, I was by your side. I saw everything. And today, I'm so proud of the person you've become." Hearing those words breaks Ikuko completely. The emotions she's carried for years finally come pouring out. Through her tears, she asks, "Can I stay here with you? Can we live together again?" But her mother's expression suddenly turns serious. She immediately refuses. She knows that Minshiko's spirit still lingers in this place, filled with darkness and hatred. After everything that happened, she would never allow Ikuko to remain here and risk her life again. Suddenly, Ikuko feels a cold presence behind her. Slowly, she turns around. And there it is. Minshiko's terrifying spirit is standing right behind her. Frozen with fear, Ikuko quickly looks back toward her mother. But she's gone. Her mother's spirit has vanished without a trace. In that moment, Ikuko realizes the horrifying truth. Minshiko has taken her mother away. Heartbroken and alone, she sits there in silence for a while, staring into the empty apartment. Then, with tears in her eyes, she finally stands up, leaves the building behind, and walks away. And with that haunting final moment, the movie comes to an end. Subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.